Welcome to Peekaboo Storytime. Can I read you a story? Today's story is called Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. We were all sitting around the big kitchen table. It was Saturday morning, pancake morning. Mom was making orange juice. Henry and I were betting on how many pancakes we could eat, and Grandpa was flipping the pancakes. Seconds later, a pancake flew through the air, headed towards the kitchen ceiling, and landed right on Henry. We all laughed. Even Grandpa. All the other pancakes landed in the pan. We all ate them, even the one that landed on Henry. That night, Grandpa told us the best bedtime story ever. He said the flying pancake made him think of it. Across an ocean, over lots of huge bumpy mountains, across 3 hot deserts and a smaller ocean, there lay a tiny town of Chew and Swallow. Have you ever heard of Chew and Swallow? Me either. Well, let's see what happens. In most ways, it was like any other town. It had a main street, stores, houses, trees, gardens, a schoolhouse, about 300 people, and some cats and dogs. But there were no food stores in the town of Chew and Swallow. They didn't need any. The only thing that was really different about Chew and Swallow was its weather. It came 3 times a day, at breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Everything that everyone ate came from the sky. It never rained. It never rained rain. It never snowed snow. And it never blew just wind. It rained things like soup and juice. It snowed mashed potatoes and green peas. And sometimes the wind blew in storms of hamburgers. Every morning, people watched the weather report on TV to find out what they would eat that day. They would even hear a prediction for the next day's food. When the townspeople went outside, they carried their plates, cups, glasses, forks, spoons, knives, and napkins with them, that they would always be ready for any kind of weather. It was there. If there was leftovers, the people took them home and put them in their refrigerators in case they got hungry between meals. By the time they woke up in the morning, breakfast was coming down. First, there was a shower of orange juice, then low clouds of sunny-side-up eggs moved in, following by pieces of toast, butter and jelly sprinkled down from the toast. And most of the time, it rained milk afterwards. For lunch one day, frankfurters in rows blew in from the northwest at about 5 miles an hour. There was mustard clouds nearby. Then the wind shifted to the east and brought in baked beans. A drizzle of soda finished off the meal. For dinner one night, there were lamb chops, becoming heavy at times, with occasional ketchup. Periods of peas and baked potatoes were followed by gradual clearing with a wonderful jello setting in the west. The sanitation department of Chew and Swallow had to remove the food that fell on the houses and sidewalks and lawns. The workers cleaned things up after every meal and fed all the dogs and cats. So that means they did not waste any food. Then they emptied the leftovers into the ocean for the fish and the turtles and whales to eat. That's a lot of leftovers. Life for the townspeople was delicious until the weather took a turn for the worse. One day there was nothing but gorgonzola cheese all day long. And the next day there was Brussels sprouts and peanut butter with mayonnaise. The next day there was only broccoli, all overcooked. Yuck. Another day there was pea soup fog. No one could see where they were going, and they could hardly find the rest of the meal that got stuck in the fog. The food was getting larger and larger. One Tuesday, there was a hurricane of bread and rolls all day long into the night. There were soft rolls and hard rolls. There was white bread and rye bread and whole bread and toast. No one had ever seen such big slices of bread or such large rolls before. It was a terrible day. Everyone had to stay indoors. The mess took the sanitation workers 4 days to clean up, and the sea was full of floating rolls. To help out the people piled up as much bread as they could, and in their backyards, it stayed there and got very hard and very stale. But some of the birds came in and ate some of them. There was a storm of pancakes one morning and a downpour of maple syrup that nearly flooded the town. A huge pancake covered the school. No one could get it off, so they had to call and close the school that day. They had to call for help. Help! See the helicopters? The helicopters had to come and take that pancake off the school. Lunch one day brought 15-inch drifts of cream cheese and jelly sandwiches. Everyone ate themselves sick. Ugh, they probably had a stomachache. And the day ended with, a stomachache. There was an awful salt and pepper wind, followed by an even worse tomato tornado. People were sneezing, achoo, themselves silly. The town was a mess. There were seeds and tomato pulp everywhere. The sanitation department gave up. The job was too big. Everyone feared for their lives. They couldn't go outside most of the time. Many houses had been hit by giant meatballs. Wow. Stores were boarded up and there was no more school for children. So they decided to leave the town of Chew and Swallow. They had to. The people made rafts out of giant pieces of stale bread glued together with peanut butter and set sail for a new land. After sailing for a week, they reached a small, friendly town. They built houses for themselves out of their rafts. The children began school again, and the adults found jobs. The biggest change they had made was getting used to buying their food at the supermarket. Nothing came down from the sky except rain and snow. The clouds above their heads were not made of fried eggs. No one ever got hit by a hamburger again. And nobody dared go back to Chew and Swallow to find out what had happened to it. They were too afraid. Henry and I were awake until the very end of Grandpa's story. I remember his good night kiss. The next morning, we woke up to see snow falling outside our window. We ran downstairs for breakfast and ate it a little faster than usual so we could go sledding with Grandpa. It's funny, but even as we were sliding down the hill, we thought we saw a giant pat of butter at the top, and we could almost smell mashed potatoes. How many people put butter in their mashed potatoes? I know I do. The end. Did you like that story? I thought it was kind of interesting that you didn't have to buy any food. Everything came down from the sky. All right, that's the end of this story. Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. There's a story that's in the Bible that talks about the children of Israel when they were coming out of Egypt and they were hungry, and God sent quail, which is a bird, and manna from heaven. And so there was a time when food did come down from the sky. All right, well, that's the end of the story, and that's all the time we have for now. So let's point to ourselves and say, I am special. There is greatness inside of me. I can be anything that I want to be. And today we're going to add something new. I love me. Let's say that again. I love me. It's very important that you love yourself and then love others. I love you. Can we say that one more time? I love you. Well, thanks for watching. See you later. Bye-bye.